There is a question, what's going on with politics? Marvin Gaye was not only an artist, in his own way, he was a civil rights leader, a community leader, and an advocate for liberty and justice for all. You remember the song. He penned a song related to the crime, the drug problem, and the social and political turmoil of the day. In that song, he asked the relevant question, what's going on? It signified a sense of confusion and bewilderment and was in response to increasingly political and social chaos. You know, we see today that same hateful, insensitive, and vindictive spirit that was displayed by the one who recently occupied the White House. So the question is, what's going on with politics? Not only what's going on, but what's going on with politics? The ugly truth in America and the ugly truth in the state of Georgia, unfortunately, is politics as usual. Now, this is my take, so don't hate. You know, we say of certain occupations, it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it. You know, and I find with American politics, it can be a dirty racket, but everyone should be involved. Of course, I don't mean a party to the dirty part, but involved and engaged in the political process here in America. You know, it won't get any better if we don't make it any better. And we can't make it any better by sitting on the sidelines, complaining, or hiding our heads in the proverbial sand. We have to get up and do something about it. You know, politics is actually an honorable profession as far as I'm concerned. There's something to be said about those who are willing to sacrifice and give so much in order to serve the people of our state and our nation. And I really applaud them. I commend them because it's not an easy job. But politics has taken on an identity of its own. It has grown into some kind of monster to be feared and to be hated. And because we have been disillusioned, disappointed, and have become frustrated with the politics of American government, that many of us have distanced ourselves from anything resembling politics. I mean, we're fed up with it. We're frustrated with it. And that is what allows these scoundrels to continue using our beloved system for personal and party gain. I believe that party politics, be it Democrat, Republican, or otherwise, is one of the worst things to ever happen to America. It doesn't have to be that way, but it has become that way. We're no longer a nation of the people, by the people, or for the people. It has become a system of the party, by the party, and for the party. When we speak of the powers that be, we are speaking of huge corporations. We are speaking of the ruling party, political party of the day and of the place. And the people are simply subjects to serve, support, and accommodate the businesses and the ruling party. Both major parties, Democrat, Republican, have become extreme and radical in their beliefs and in their actions. One going to the left, extreme to the left, and the other going to the so-called right, going to the extreme with no sign of anyone trying to make their way to the middle. Black people and all people of color in America, they are and have always been an endangered species. I mean, we are daily living with the threat of hate and prejudice and discrimination and political and economic annihilation. I mean, there's no doubt that we are doing plenty to destroy ourselves. I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's time for us to come together and do something about the black on black crime. do something about how we are destroying our own communities and our own families. So there's plenty that we are doing to destroy ourselves. And although there are some who are doing their share of wrong, we can't blame everything on white supremacists, the hate groups, or the politics of America. We must, listen, my friends, we must take responsibility for our own actions and for our own condition. All right? But now there are still others out there who are doing all that they can to hold us down and to keep us back. We, the black and the poor, are cutting ourselves with a two-edged sword, hating and hurting and killing ourselves on the one hand, and on the other hand, idly sitting by and allowing others to destroy us without uttering so much as a whisper. I mean, we are just sitting by, acting like we're in some sort of a drunken stupor and don't know what's going on, and allowing people to come up with laws and rules and actions that work against us, that work to hold us down and to keep us back. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm glad. I love what I'm seeing with this current generation, the young people. They are rising up. They are speaking up. They are standing up. I really like what I'm seeing in this current generation. I mean, the criminal element and the skinning and grinning crowd notwithstanding. This generation is one that is otherwise a vocal and active and engaged group of young people. And I love what I'm seeing. I love it when they are very articulate in how they express themselves, how they are working hard to hold up our values and those things that we have worked and suffered and died for over the years. I'm glad. And finally, we have some people with backbones, with nerves, who are not afraid of their jobs and not afraid of their futures. But they are bold enough, courageous enough to stand up and speak out and speak what they believe in and work for what they believe in. I'm glad to see that. I mean, there are many of us who have, just stepped to the sideline and no longer can be heard from, and we're just sort of letting things be as they are. But thank God that there are young people out there who are rising up. I mean, black, white, red, yellow, they are out there and they are saying enough is enough. Listen, this thing has gone far enough. Let's turn it around. Listen, young people, and I'm with you all the way. Let's turn it around. And we can do it. We can do it, but we got to do it together. Listen, the young people now, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, they have the energy, they have the courage. But what they are lacking, they have not yet learned the rules and the tricks of politics in America. And many of our adults have not learned that yet. I mean, soon after the election of 2020, if you remember, I warned us that the powers that be would waste no time in plotting and planning and finding ways to turn back the hands of time, to reverse whatever gains were made by the election. It happens every time. All you got to do is study your history. May I remind us, listen, my friend, may I remind us that this is not Saturday night. This is Monday morning. The party is over and it's time to get to work. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I mean, we're sitting around acting like, there's still a party going on. It's time for us to get to work. I mean, you can keep on toasting President Joe Biden, and you can keep drooling over Vice President Kamala Harris. Go ahead, if that's what you want to do, if that's your idea of having fun. But one of these days, my friend, you're going to wake up one day and find that you are living in a different world. Pull your head out of the sand and listen, make yourself aware of what is going on. I mean, I'll be one of the first to admit that we have more conspiracy theories than the law allows. But I mean, when there are outright lies, outright false accusations, do they still qualify? as conspiracy theories, or should we just call them what they really are? Lies and false accusations. And then on the other hand, what if it's nothing but the truth? What if it's an uncovering and exposing of evil and dastardly deeds? Does that qualify as a conspiracy theory? Or is it just the truth and nothing but the truth? I'll let you decide. But I want to quickly offer two issues of thought and consideration for you. One being the so-called election reform here in Georgia and other states that have fallen in line with Georgia. And then the second is the elimination of the extended unemployment payments to struggling citizens of Georgia and other Republican states that have followed. Let me tell you something, my friend. And don't forget, this is my take, okay? So don't hate, all right? These are nothing more than carefully crafted initiatives designed to not only disenfranchise us, but to intimidate us and to render us silent. Listen, the blacks and the people of color and the poor urban citizens of our state, this is designed to shut us up. This is designed to make us go somewhere and sit down. I suggest to you that these are T puppets. And I'll let you figure out what the T stands for. These are T puppets carrying out the desires and the mandates of their master in retaliation for what I call right, nothing but right, rising across America. And these weak yassa boys and girls are bound and determined to teach these uppity Negroes and people of color a lesson they won't soon forget. You want to know what's going on? That's what's going on. I mean, these measures are designed to frighten and to intimidate, to spank our butts, send us to our room and tell us, now don't you do that no more. They attacked the system that they believe cost them the election. They attacked that system and now call themselves talking about reforming it. And this legislation is nothing more than, listen to me, my friends, nothing more than punitive action taken against those who are believed to be responsible for turning Georgia blue. Listen, this is punitive action taken against those who are believed to be those responsible for painting a black line across the South of America. A blue line, rather, across the South of America. Turning states blue. I mean, really, when you look at it here in Georgia, of all people, Georgia politicians, of all people, Republicans, of all people, I mean, the system was working well when it worked for a governor while he was the chief elections officer and in charge of the election process. It seemed to be a good system then. Everybody was in love with the system then. So what happened all of a sudden? I mean, when their master was elected, it seemed like it was working fine then. So what is it now? What has happened to it all of a sudden now? I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. What was meant and used for evil was turned to our good. Did you hear what I said? I said what was meant for evil turned to our good. What was meant to work against us worked for us. Who are the us? It's black people of America, white people of America, right-thinking and progressive-thinking people of America. This is what worked for us. This is the us that system worked for here in the state of Georgia. And now all of a sudden, Republicans of all people. I mean, you're talking about some bold people. I mean, you're talking about people that really take us for granted, that think we are fools, that think we are dumb, that think we don't know what's going on. They think that we don't know what's going on. I know you know what's going on. I mean, the Republicans are so bold as to dismantle the election system to place certain citizens at a disadvantage. So bold as to deny unemployment payments to the poor and disenfranchised, the disadvantaged people of Georgia. Listen, I'm talking about denying payments that don't cost the state one single dime. These are federally funded. This is a federally funded program that the Republicans of the state of Georgia are denying or refusing to receive in order to punish the people of Georgia. That's all it is, my friend. When you look at it, I mean, it's disgusting, the boldness and the extent to which the Republicans will go to take revenge on the people who exercise their right as American citizens to vote for the candidate of their choice. And we know what's behind it. We know who's behind it. Again, these are nothing more than tea puppets on a string that are being manipulated, that are being used, and they don't even know what's happening to them. They actually think that somebody loves them. They actually believe that this person is in their corner. They are so badly disillusioned. Listen to me, my friend. You exercised your right and you voted in a system that they constructed it, they approved of it, and now suddenly they want to say there's something wrong with the system. I mean, these people are so bold that a newly elected Kool-Aid drinking politician hadn't even gotten in the seat to warm the seat good yet. Says there was no insurrection on January the 6th when this mob attacked our U.S. Capitol and our democracy. These tea puppets that have the nerve to call themselves patriots. Let me tell you something. As a true patriot that have served his country, as a true patriot that has supported his country, I am offended by those who would attack our nation, attack our democracy, and call themselves patriots. You want to call something fake? Call that fake patriots, including the head fake patriot that is nothing more than a selfish, self-centered demagogue. Let me tell you something, my friend. You know, I wonder, when I look at what happened on January the 6th, I wonder, like many of you wonder, what would they have called it if it was orchestrated and carried out by blacks and by Black Lives Matter and by people of color, by Hispanic? What if we had gotten together and attacked the U.S. Capitol of all places? The U.S. Capitol. What would they have called it? I'll tell you what they would have called it. I mean, why you got those who are trying to deny that it was an insurrection, it was an attack upon our country. It was an attack upon our democracy, upon our Constitution, and you're going to tell me that it was not an insurrection? What would they have called it had it been us? I'll tell you what they would have called it. They would have called it a slaughter. That's what they would have called it, a slaughter. We would never have even made it to the door of the Capitol, let alone in the Capitol, in offices in the Capitol. They would have called it a slaughter. That's what they would have called it. And let me tell you something, my friend. None of us, had it been us, none of us would have been able to leave town that day. No, we would not have been able to do what they did and then allowed to go back to their homes. And then the government got a nerve to talk about we have a manhunt going on. You had them all right there in your lap. Why do you have to have a manhunt? You had them right there. We would not have been allowed to go home. We would not have been allowed to leave town. There would be no manhunt. That would be only heavily loaded meat wagons. That's what it would have been. Then what about stopping the federally funded unemployment program, the benefits for poor and struggling Georgians. I mean, sure, I understand there are some people that are taking advantage of the system like people are known to do in any situation. I mean, that's always happened. I mean, just like big businesses and certain politicians taking advantage of federal loans and grants that were meant for small and struggling businesses. I mean, sure, there are people who need to get back to work. There are those that need to get back into the workforce. But there are still some who don't feel safe. Some who don't feel safe going back to work. Maybe because they don't have the proper protective measures in place. There are some who are still struggling with school and child care for their children. Of course, there are those who are just taking advantage of the situation. Sure, they are. But I believe, again, that this is nothing more than punitive action taken against Democrats and Biden supporters. I believe it's nothing more than punishing the people that they believe in their thoughts and in their words say stole the election, stole it. I mean, if you want to talk about stolen elections, we can talk about some stolen elections. Don't make me go back there. Don't make me go there. But the black and poor people are always easy prey in a Republican-controlled environment, society, and these two actions, so-called election reform and denying people federally funded benefits that the state doesn't have to pay a dime for. These are very suspect, and the people who are promoting them are suspect. And we should sit up and pay attention. Listen, my friend, you've heard the phrase, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. Similar thing applies here. If it made any sense at all, everybody, Democrats, Republicans, and otherwise, everybody would be doing it. If it made sense, everybody would be doing it. So why then are these kinds of initiatives being pushed only by Republican states and Republican governors? Why? What's going on? What's up? I mean, tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. It's what I said from the beginning would be going on. If we fall asleep, or even if we're wide awake and not paying attention, they are working to bring us back to where we were, to deny us any of the advancements and the progress and the successes that we have enjoyed. We're dealing with Republican governors and Republican politicians who have no backbone, who don't have the nerve to stand up for themselves, don't have the nerve to stand up for the people, who are trying to win points with someone who wouldn't give them the time of day if they were wearing 300 watches or if they had Big Ben sitting on their shoulders. Wouldn't give them the time of day. And they're busy trying to kiss up to them, trying to win points with them. Please hear me. Please hear me, black people, poor people, disadvantaged people of America. Success and progress always has and always will lead to a setup for your downfall. It has always been that way. I mean, look at the history of America. Look at the history of the South. And look at the history of whites against all others in America. The players may have changed, but the story is still the same. When you make progress, the setup to bring you down begins. Listen, my friend, unless you want to shuffle off into political oblivion or be intimidated into submission, it's time to get involved. It's time to become a change agent for fair representation, for justice and equality for all Americans. It's time to rise up. The setup is precipitated by our success. There is now and always has been a movement to limit what you can have and what you can become. A move to keep you in your place. Let me ask you something. Why serve the rich and famous when you can become the rich and famous? Why submit to the powerful when you are just as powerful as them or more powerful than they? Why resign yourself to second-class citizenship when you are a first-class citizen? Slavery by any other name and with any other face is still slavery. Now that's my take, so don't hate. Now what do you have to say? Sound off. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate your time, always. And if I don't see you on Sunday, we do have church on Sunday. And I know I'm not in my church mode right now, but I'm always a pastor and I'm always a preacher. No matter whatever hat I put on, I'm always a preacher. And as long as God places me in the church, I'll be a pastor. Amen. Amen. God bless you, and may God keep you is my prayer. Thank you.